I'm just a poser. To keep up my brooding, aloof persona, I act like some cold, untouchable heartthrob every day. Are you okay? I'm fine. Until I got sucked into a horror game, when I came face to face with a terrifying specter, and was so scared I wanted to scream my lungs out. The system informed me that everything I did would be livestreamed 24/7. I held it in. Under a sky raining blood, other players cowered in the safe zone, too afraid to come out. But I held a black umbrella, wearing a dark, vintage haute couture suit, strolling through the blood rain with headphones on. The final boss, who'd been snarling with a gaping maw just a second ago, suddenly blushed. She looked all bashful, and said, "Oni-chan?" I smirked. If being aloof is a talent, then I must be a prodigy. 1 second, I was listening to music, imagining myself strolling through the streets of Japan. The next, I was thrown into a horror game. Welcome, player Xiao Chen, to the S-rank instance. Urban Legends. Clear all the Urban Legend stages within the instance to win. We wish you an enjoyable game. Current player count 50. Time limit 5 days. On the cold, damp street, a chilling gust of wind swept through. Everyone instinctively hugged their shivering bodies tighter. Only I stood with my hands in my pockets, expressionless, looking melancholic, because that's my persona. But inside, my mind was already screaming like a frantic groundhog. Where the hell is this? I'm so scared. I want to go home. A timid girl nearby was already crying the words I couldn't say. A thug kicked a nearby street lamp. Suddenly, he froze, staring at me, dumbfounded. Under the dim yellow street light, I stood there quietly. My face was a mask of melancholic calm. I didn't notice his strange look. My mind was entirely on how street lamps are the ultimate tool for crafting that brooding heartthrob vibe. This dim yellow light casting down would make my perfect jawline stun the live comments. Even in a bizarre world, one must maintain peak aesthetics at all times. Just as I was still holding my persona, a blood-curdling scream suddenly erupted from the crowd. Help! A monster! I looked up, and saw in the distance what seemed to be something strange squirming. It was devouring players, making them vanish. Everyone scattered in terror. I took 2 steps back, but managed to hold my ground. I simply leaned one hand against the lamppost, tilted my head up at a 45-degree angle to the starless sky, with a look of 3 parts scorn and 4 parts nonchalance in my eyes. I definitely can't outrun the monster. In that case, I'll maintain my aloof persona even in death. Even if I die, I have to die like a work of art. But strangely enough, the monster hidden in the darkness did not attack me. Get somewhere with light, quick! These monsters are afraid of light. A few quick reacting players immediately rushed under the street lamp. I was jostled and stumbled, nearly breaking my world-weary expression. Sure enough, once we reached a lit area, the monster disappeared. A man and a woman walked over, shining flashlights. They claimed to be veteran players here, nicknamed Yao Yao and Brother Who. They explained the game rules, and the first urban legend, Mr. Shadow. After hearing this, everyone looked at me with near worship in their eyes. For a newcomer, not only are you so calm, but you also found the solution so quickly. Truly impressive. I felt a bit guilty. Could I say I actually knew nothing at all? All that posing was just to find the right light, wasn't it? A pro, huh? So I simply lowered my eyes slightly and gave a faint nod, continuing to maintain my melancholic persona. Soon, we entered the building ahead, to settle into our rooms, to avoid a total wipeout. Each person got their own room, but some rooms would spawn monsters. Whether you survived or not was purely a matter of luck. Only 5 rooms in the entire building would have monsters. To keep up my aloof persona, I didn't scramble for a lower floor like the others. Instead, I stood aside, waiting quietly like an outsider. The last room left was room 404 on the 44th floor. The other players all looked at me as if I were already dead. On the surface, I was unruffled, but inside, I was about to piss my pants. God damn it. Why does this have to happen to a hipster who just wants to brood in peace? Damn, that pretty boy is toast. He's been acting all weird. Even-numbered floors and room numbers. Even-numbered floors and room numbers have the most vicious monsters. He's stacked every bad buff there is. Well, whose fault is it for standing there acting all cold and distant, instead of sticking with the veterans to pick a room? Seeing this, I felt even more like crying, but I held it in, because aloofness is my armor. After entering room 404, I looked around, and my taut nerves relaxed just a little. I went into the bedroom, opened the wardrobe, and rummaged around. A moment later, I pulled out a full, richly textured, dark gray vintage British suit. Touching that fine fabric, my eyes grew slightly red with excitement. At last, I could fully unleash my passion for dark Gothic aesthetics. I stripped off the mediocre casual clothes I was wearing, and put on the suit. I draped on the trench coat, pulled on the gloves, and stood before the mirror, methodically adjusting my tie, quite satisfied with my own appearance. Paired with my pale face, untouched by sunlight for years, wearing this makes me devastatingly handsome. After admiring myself enough, I casually turned on the TV, wanting to create a shattered, melancholic scene of a dark nobleman watching television alone late at night. But the moment the TV came on, my entire body went rigid, because a woman in a white dress, with black hair cascading down, appeared on the screen. I almost screamed out loud, but catching sight of the floating comments, I forcibly swallowed that expletive. No, stay calm. Mustn't ruin my persona as a peerless beauty. Enduring extreme terror, I maintained my elegant posture, watching her coldly. Well, actually, the aura he has just sitting there is too powerful. He looks like a vampire duke scrutinizing his prey. Monsters and demons, begone. A cold, clammy hand seized my ankle. Trembling, I opened my eyes. This sense of beautiful ruin is simply exquisite. The only flaw is, the hair is too messy, lacking any sense of depth. My fingers itched with the urge. I grabbed a pair of scissors directly from the nearby drawer. Don't move. Scissors in hand, with practiced skill, in just 3 minutes I gave her a cut, a supremely atmospheric Heim-style haircut. Perfect. The comments were utterly silenced by my move. Help, what kind of dark, domineering boss is this? The boss and his icy-faced little wife. That mental fortitude, those looks. I'm announcing it. I've got a new husband now. In the mirror opposite her, Sadako looked at her current appearance, and froze for a long time. Demurely, she smoothed the Heim-cut hair beside her ear, and bowed deeply to me. Arigato. I gave a slight nod. A casual, indifferent smile tugged at the corner of my lips. Sadako touched her hair, and fully satisfied climbed back into the television. Finally, she was gone. Countdown 3 days. Surviving players 30. 3 stages left to clear the instance. I let out a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to head out, something suddenly occurred to me. I pulled a dark gray cashmere scarf from the wardrobe and draped it casually around my neck, instantly achieving a perfectly moody, British-inspired look. When I reached the ground floor lobby to regroup with the other players, everyone was shocked to see me walk out of room 404 unscathed. Their faces were filled with utter disbelief. The look in brother whose eyes toward me had changed. Let's team up. Our chances of survival will be higher that way. I really did want to ride on someone's coattails, but my aloof and cold persona wouldn't allow it. Only by being a lone wolf could I showcase my uniquely distinctive temperament. No, thanks. I'm used to being alone in the darkness. Hey, pretty boy. How the hell did you clear that stage? This man was a butcher who slaughtered pigs. He reeked of sweat and blood, which nearly made me vomit. What's in it for me? If I tell you? Heh, if you tell me. Not only will I not hit you, but I can also carry you through the instance. Otherwise, I'll cripple you right now. I let out a scoff. Although I wasn't as burly as him, to avoid breaking character, I stared him down intensely. When you were slaughtering pigs, did you accidentally replace your own brain with a pig's? Do you believe I can make sure you don't live through tonight? Intimidated by my aura, the pig butcher actually froze mid-motion, and finally lowered his fist resentfully. Soon night fell. I returned to room 404. I wonder what kind of horror awaits me tonight, but I hope I won't die too gruesomely. Just don't ruin my bespoke suit. Suddenly, there was a violent pounding on the door from outside. I opened the door and saw the butcher. "Did you use some kind of item?" He tried to barge in, cursing. Just as I was about to say something, the butcher's expression suddenly turned to one of extreme terror. I took a deep breath, pulled out a pure white handkerchief, and elegantly wiped a drop of blood from my cheek. As I slowly raised my head and came face to face with a bandage-wrapped visage, my heart rate instantly spiked to 180. Once a player's fear level reaches 80, it will strike. My heart rate hit 180 not from fear, but from excitement. Isn't he the perfect dark, trendy, brooding male idol? He fits my aesthetic preferences perfectly. I looked at him, a fervent artistic light bursting from my eyes. "That suit of yours, who made it for you?" The Slender Man fell silent, because I felt no fear towards him. He could not attack me, and was even somewhat baffled by my sudden interrogation. "Inferior fabric, loose tailoring, completely hiding your superior bone structure." I moved with lightning speed, quickly altering the bulky suit into a sharply tailored, waist-cinching double-breasted jacket. He stood before the mirror, seemingly very pleased with his new look. Then he turned around, removed the black top hat from his head, and like a medieval aristocrat, gave me an elegant bow, before placing the hat upon my head. The next moment, he vanished. "Congratulations, player Xiao Chen, for acquiring the advanced item, Gentleman's Hat. This item provides defensive properties, capable of resisting external enemies. Countdown 2 days. Surviving players 20, as the remaining stages decrease." Suddenly, a blood-red rain began to fall from the sky. Seeing this, all the players quickly shrank back into the buildings, too afraid to come out. But my eyes lit up. A blood rain on the streets of Tokyo, a dark-style suit, and a melancholic knee. This was practically a runway tailor-made for me. Without hesitation, I picked up a black umbrella and walked into the blood rain. Only after the other players saw I was unharmed did they dare to follow suit, venturing into the blood rain with umbrellas. "Hello, sir. It's raining, and I don't have an umbrella. I'm so cold. May I share your umbrella and walk home with you?" In that moment, my excitement instantly peaked. Oh my god, a Yandere dark-style goddess. That pale, handsome face, that fragile yet dangerously shattered aura. She was my ultimate ideal. I gladly agreed. But to maintain my cool, aloof gentleman persona, I kept my expression indifferent, even carrying a hint of cold, distant detachment. "Of course you can. It would be my pleasure." The originally petite girl in the red dress began to radiate an extremely terrifying pressure. She lowered her head, her pitch-black pupils staring fixedly at me. "Since you've agreed to hold the umbrella for me, make absolutely sure I don't get wet, or else I'll be very angry. The boss has mutated. Xiao Chen, run!" When you notice something unreasonable, please act as if nothing is happening. I watched as her height approached 3 meters, and her nails grew increasingly ferocious. My mind racing frantically. Running was not an option. In that case, I'd commit to the act all the way. I suddenly stopped, tilted my head back. Because being loved can grow flesh and blood. The ghost girl froze. I took a deep breath, and threw away the umbrella in my hand, letting the bloody rain soak my expensive suit. The next second, ignoring the chilling energy radiating from her, I pulled her massive and twisted form into my arms. "If you cannot stop growing, then I will put down the umbrella. If this world is fated to rain blood, then I will stand in the rain with you." She had already reverted to the petite, stunningly beautiful girl from before. Her pale cheeks were now flushed blood-red. Even the tips of her ears had turned crimson. She frantically picked up the umbrella from the ground and held it over my head once more, even unconsciously tilting it slightly toward me, shielding me completely beneath it. Watching her innocent, flustered expression, a faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Then I removed one of my earbuds and gently placed it in her ear. Her earlobe instantly turned redder than the bloody rain. "Don't get wet. It would make my heart ache. Next time it rains, remember to come pick me up." Surviving players 10. One stage remains until the instance is cleared. brother who used a mirror prop, for large, blood-red characters appeared on the mirror. Night parade of 100 demons. I kept my promise. I came to take you home. Under the terrified gazes of everyone present, she and I walked out of the store together. I held the bouquet of pure white roses out before her. A gift from me? I want a gift from you too. Your name. My name is Lu Qinghan. Halfway there, a woman suddenly blocked our path. She wore a mask and held a massive pair of scissors in her hands. She smiled at me and asked, "Ha ha ha! Do you think my mouth is pretty?" Lu Qinghan's eyes turned steely, a murderous aura surging from her. She was about to strike, but I stopped her. I handed the roses to Lu Qinghan. Then I stepped forward, walking up to the slit-mouthed woman. I felt no fear, nor any disgust. I leaned in slightly, and gently lifted her chin with my fingers. In my aesthetic, conventional symmetry is merely a synonym for mediocrity. This kind of asymmetrical tear is the supreme art that transcends all living beings. The slit-mouthed woman was completely stunned. She looked into my deep, melancholic eyes, and a blush actually spread across her cheeks. After a long silence, she bashfully lowered her head and offered her massive scissors with both hands, handing them to me. "Congratulations, player. You have acquired the advanced item, slit-mouthed woman's scissors." As we walked on, we arrived at an abandoned apartment building. According to the hint, the key to leaving was here. Inside a room, I found a photo album. When I opened it, it was filled entirely with pictures of me, candid shots of me from every angle. Under the pillow, I found another diary. The name on the title page was Lu Qinghan. I've always hated rainy days, until you said I was different. I was locked in the basement, always feeling I would die here. If there is an afterlife, I want to hold an umbrella for you just once. I stood there in silence. Having grown up in a repressive household, I could only protect myself by pretending to be cold. Yet all along, a soul dwelling in the same darkness had been silently watching over me. I took a deep breath and headed to the apartment's basement. I smashed open the rusted lock. In the dark, damp basement, I saw a skeleton curled up in the corner. Beside the bones were 2 lines written in blood. My eyes stung a little. I crouched down. I bit my fingertip and used the blood to write beside the crimson words, "I like you too." Footsteps sounded behind me. "So you know everything." "I'm sorry. A monster like me. Does my affection disgust you?" "You idiot. Didn't you know that when you kiss a man, you're supposed to close your eyes? You should head back now. I remember clearly. You used to be called Lu Qinghan, because you once said, you hoped my days ahead would be clear, bright, cold, and still. So I renamed myself Lu Qinghan. Congratulations, player Xiao Chen, for obtaining the key, pure white rose." When I left the apartment, I ran into Tian Tian and brother Hu on the street. "Hand over the high-level item." The Slender Man's black top hat blocked the attack. I was completely unharmed. Under their terrified gazes, I let out a cold laugh and swiftly drew the slit-mouthed woman's scissors. These two were the real culprits who used novice players as bait. Congratulations, player Xiao Chen, for clearing the urban legends instance. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the real world. Following my memory, I went to Lu Qinghan's house. Through the window, I saw the Lu family laughing and joking around. Those were the criminals who caused her death. Without hesitation, I dialed the police. Together with the officers, I pushed open the basement door. There, I saw Lu Qinghan's remains again, now just white bones. I took off my expensive, dark gray trench coat. "Don't be afraid, Qinghan. Now it's my turn to take you home." Suddenly, the basement's iron door was violently kicked off its hinges with an inhuman force. My hands, holding Lu Qinghan's bones, froze instantly. My heart rate spiked to 200 in a second. Several blinding tactical flashlights locked onto me. "Freeze! Special Hazard Response Unit, Containment Team 7. The Special Hazard Bureau? Containment Team? Wait, this is the real world. I just called 110 to report a murderer. Whoa. What the hell is the Micropolice Bureau? But why are there still bullet comments in the real world? Didn't I already reach the ending? Huh. This damn live stream isn't a one-time purchase? Clearing it comes with lifetime after-sales service? Put down the high-risk obsession object in your hands. Hands on your head. Get down now. I repeat, get down now. I absolutely cannot show weakness right now. If I flinch, not only will my live stream persona collapse, but these special ops agents who already hate my guts will definitely fill me full of holes. Put the guns down. You're disturbing him. Final warning. Put down the obsession object, or we will open fire. I'm betting they won't dare shoot, or rather, I'm betting that the system which gave me countless cheats inside the game would never let me get shot to pieces on my first day back in the real world. Just as the captain was about to give the order, a sudden change erupted. Captain, an S-class or higher calamity level reaction. How dare you point a gun at him? Lu Qinghan's voice was hollow and chilling. Qinghan, my wife, is defending her husband. She's an S-rank dungeon boss. If she really kills government personnel, I'll have to live as a fugitive for the rest of my life. Qinghan. I told you, I don't like the smell of blood staining my clothes. These vulgar mortals aren't worthy of dirtying your pure hands. Stand down. If showing off had ranks, I'd definitely be at the king level right now. As you wish. You. Just what are you? I am merely a lonely soul, exiled by this tedious world, nothing more. What? You're here to arrest me? Lead the way. I hope your vehicle matches my taste. The light transmittance of this bulletproof glass is terrible. It completely ruins the cyberpunk feel of the night view outside. And the car fragrance you're using is cheap synthetic chemical scent, isn't it? This kind of tacky smell is simply an insult to my sense of smell. Yes, you're absolutely right. The Bureau's budget is tight. We apologize for the embarrassment. We'll definitely improve next time. We'll switch to the finest agarwood for you. What on earth has happened to this world? I fought tooth and nail to clear that game, thinking once I returned to the real world, I could just go back to my normal life. But now, here I am. Not only did I bring back a skeleton that can turn into a red-clad ghost at any moment, I've also gotten tangled up with something called the Special Containment Bureau. Could it be that this damn horror game is actually connected to the real world? Just as I was frantically calculating my next move, a bullet comment suddenly appeared in midair. A bold gold pinned message. System notification. Due to player Xiao Chen's outstanding performance in the urban legend disaster instance, the instance's core logic has collapsed. World fusion progress is accelerating. The real world will gradually spawn supernatural creatures from the game instances. Players, please strive to survive. The wind is rising. This mediocre world is finally about to welcome its magnificent destruction. What a delightful feast to look forward to. Mr. Xiao Chen, is it? Your file is very clean. An ordinary college student, introverted personality, oppressive family environment, But just half an hour ago you cleared that notorious blood moon game, and you brought out a calamity class obsession object. Put out that cigarette. The smell of this cheap tobacco burning will ruin the scent of rain. The scent of rain it originally carried. That's the fragrance she left me. I won't allow anyone to ruin it. Alright, let's get down to business. Director Lei drew a deep breath, trying to regain control of the situation. Spatial rifts are appearing worldwide now. Monsters from the game are invading reality. Our Special Management Bureau needs experts like you, with formidable psychic power and the ability to control calamity-class aberrations. I formally invite you to join the Special Management Bureau as a special consultant at the highest level. Director Lei, I believe you've misunderstood something. I am no savior, nor some hired muscle you can order around at will. I have no interest in saving the world. In my world, only ultimate beauty is worthy of my attention. If the world is destined for destruction, then let it be destroyed. A flower of death blooming amidst blood rain and ruins. Isn't that far more enchanting than this hypocritical, mediocre world? Alert! Alert! Riot in progress at sublevel 4 containment. S-class aberrant, the Stitch Butcher, has breached containment and is moving toward the surface. All squads, intercept immediately. The Stitch Butcher. That monster was formed from the flesh and blood of over 100 people it devoured. How could it suddenly breach containment? Squads 1 and 2, take heavy-grade spiritual armaments to sublevel 4 immediately. Do not let it reach the surface. Damn it, heavy firepower isn't working on it. Mr. Xiao, I'm begging you, if you'll just step in and eliminate it. Name your terms. I looked at that nauseating mountain of flesh on the screen, my stomach churning violently. I nearly threw up last night's dinner. So hideous. No need to negotiate terms. You're going to act? It should not exist. Everyone step back. My stage has no need for an audience that cannot appreciate it. And it is only fit to become scrap material for my aesthetic reconstruction. Carrying that stench of decay with me as I leave. What does its massive size matter? It's nothing but an illogical, low-grade patchwork. Now let me teach you the true art of tailoring. Cross-dissection. Split apart. Crawl back to your sewer. This disgusting, senseless patchwork can actually mutate further? It truly offends my eyes. Since you're assembled from fragments, allow me to grant you the most perfect symmetry and separation. Boring. A genius? No. He's a monster. He's a god, at any cost. Even if we have to pawn the Special Oversight Bureau's last pair of pants, we must make him stay. 1 month later, the real world has completely transformed. At this moment, I'm sitting in the most luxurious villa in the city's prime district. This was prepared for me by Director Lei. A warm fireplace crackles in the villa's living room. Xiao Chen, those women watching the live stream keep praising your looks. I really want to gouge out all their eyes and string them together with my bones. Why dirty your hands for those mediocre mortals? To me, only you are worthy to stand beside me as my queen. As for them, They aren't even qualified to be ghosts beneath your skirt. I'll do whatever you say. I only need you to look at me. Xiao Chen, Tokyo has a triple S class night parade of 100 demons array. The local crisis management branch has been completely wiped out. Please come help. Who is the blind fool, daring to interrupt my time alone with Chen? Madam Xiao Chen, if you're upset, I'll come back later. No need. Since some ugly trash has dirted our world, let's just treat it as a bloody fireworks show. Shall we go on a date, Qinghan? Yes. As long as I can be with you, I'll help you tear all those ugly things to shreds.